Well, bit of a bittersweet training, schooling, and qualifying day. Today, obviously, we'll start off with the good, I guess. Sunshine and shade. I thought he won the qualifier. I was in the turn watching the qualifier with Mario, and I didn't see that Jody got by him at the wire. James said, put him in to go. He's ready to pace 54, 53, which is great because he should only need to pace 55 to win the 2-year-old non-winners of 6,000 at Mohawk. So that's good. The bad news, obviously, was knockdown, drag out, made a break at the gate again. I shouldn't have rushed this filly. The way she trained the other day, I thought she seemed great. So we put her in to qualify. Should have put her into school. There should have been an unofficial line just to make sure she was good at the gate, because today she was a little hot. Now, I guess the only silver lining towards the break today was it forced my hand a little bit in the fact that this hotness and running and being bad at the gate, this is stuff she shouldn't be doing. This is immature, a little bit of an attitude on a 2-year-old. Not a bad attitude, just a frustrated, stubborn attitude. And it sometimes happens with fillies. And I should have recognized that and said, err on the side of caution. Let's school her. I would have schooled her. I would have recognized right away that enough's enough. Changed the equipment, much like I did after the qualifier. And I'll tell you why. And gone from there. So knockdown, drag out, made a break in the qualifier today, but she went into schooler, in the 4th schooler. I sent Cindy over to back to the burn to pick up the headgear that we wear on I'll Play It Alone. Also a little ignorant and hot at the gate this summer, right? We put that on her and she behaved. Now, she's a little rough. She made a break down the backstretch in the straightaway. She's getting out of gear. It's a combination of 2 little things. I think Mario's right. There could be her left hock could be bothering her. These aren't serious things. They're maintenance things that we need to see. Another reason we should have qualified, or we should have schooled her rather than qualifying her. So I got to see a lot more today, especially in the schooler. Now she's heated up from going in the qualifier and being hot and ornery. She's heated up. I really get a good look at what's going on with her. I think her right knee, I thought left stifle, but Mario could be right. It could be left hock. So I think the best thing to do is to make a vet appointment for knockdown, drag out, and get her looked at. Now, we can do a couple of things with her. We can put the hobbles on her, which I'm not really a big fan of. She's trotted in 55 without hobbles. She's been safe all year. I did get her away from the gate, no problem in the schooler. She was behaved. She didn't much like the bit in her mouth, but this is something I should have nipped in the bud a while ago. And because of her sheer talent, and she was always mildly manageable. So she had this blinding speed. She was mildly manageable. Let's just manage her the way she is. And had she not been as fast as she was, that wouldn't have flown, right? That wouldn't have worked. We worked on I'll Play It Alone. We worked on Sebastian U. These are horses that also had similar traits to her. Maybe not the expectation level, nowhere near what was with her, but definitely the same issues. Hot at the gate, get yourself in trouble, doesn't want to listen, a little bit of ornery, being a little ornery, stubborn. These are traits that you can nip in the bud with equipment changes. But every time you change that equipment, sometimes they get a little angry and it sets you back a little bit until you get them squared away. Now, the one thing I will say about her is she immediately respected the bit in her mouth. Bob, one of your partners, was at the qualifiers. He can attest to it. I got away last. Took her off the gate, got away last. She followed along down the backstretch. I moved around a horse. You can see her put those steps in like she did in Philadelphia, but totally different thing. I felt that maybe she was interfering a little bit. So we'll go back to a set of boots on her. We might lighten her shoes up a little bit. And we had talked about this, Mario and I, when we brought her back. Do we put weight on her? Do we take weight off? We opted to put weight on her to begin with. Maybe a little heavy. And if we have to, we can throw a long set of hobbles on her to see if that's something that may benefit her also. But these are all things that you try out and you manage through training and schooling, not through qualifying. That's my fault. I shouldn't have rushed her into the qualifiers. When I trained her in 59 to bet 2 minutes the other day, come half in 57, I said, fine, she's good, she's better, she's sound. All things are true. But she still wasn't proper in her head. If you watch her in the qualifier, she's really hot. In the schooler, when we had the proper gear in her mouth, yeah, she didn't like it. She was a little bit angry about it when she went on the track, but her job is to trot. My job is to drive. And if I can't do my job, she's not going to be able to do her job properly, and nobody's going to make any money. So today was the first step towards her doing her work properly. Does that mean she's perfect? No. You still have to fix that little step in the straightaways. I believe it's right front knee. Her knees probably need done. Sebastian, Kay's, all the ones we've had, their knees need to be done at least once or twice throughout the year. I suggested that's probably a good start. And then that left hind in the straightaways, I would suggest that is probably left hind. I'm opt to agree with Mario. It's Hawk, but I do want to get her left stifle looked at also. So these are maintenance things as we transition and change this gear. I mean, these are things that it would have been great to change these at the start of the year, but when you go and qualify a filly that looks as talented as her and train her down as talented as she was manageable, but not perfect. And we saw this with I'll Play It Alone. And the other thing is, sometimes when you take that raw, rage or aggression away from them, it takes away from their speed a little bit sometimes too. So there's that thin line, that very, very thin line between under control, manageable, raceable, sound, a little pinchy. All these little tiny thin lines, you get to see them, right? She was a little pinchy in Philadelphia, but raced great. She was a little pinchy in the Poconos, finished second in 55. As the year wore on, those little pinchy spots started to bother her and bite away at her. Now, today, the break at the gate was more ignorance and anger than anything else. So we're going to patch them up. We changed the bit in her mouth. I think she's much, much better like that. And we'll go forward with her. Does that mean she wears the hobbles? I don't know if we need to go there yet. She'll school next Tuesday, and I don't think it would be in our best interest to put her in to qualify until she's right. And as Bob put it, and I 100% agree with Bob on this, I'd like to put her away with at least a couple of good lines, a couple of good miles. It'd be nice to win a couple of races, get a 2-year-old mark on her. And if we happen to get her rolling again, she's not tired. If we happen to get her rolling again and sharp, we both know, all of us know how much she's eligible to, tons. So let's focus. Today was a blunder on my part. She shouldn't have been in to qualify today. She should have been into school. It would have, I guess, the only silver lining of the mistake made by putting her into qualify was that I got to school her after. So rather than see the errors today and have a week to adjust them, I got to adjust them in an hour. I think we have the right bit in her mouth. We have the right gear on her. Everything is right in that regard. Now we just got to get her proper. Minor little adjustments. There's no major issues going on there. Just minor stuff we have to work through, and we will. So Sunshine and Shade was good. Knockdown Dragout was disappointing, but as I said, the silver lining is I believe we're on the right track in that regard. Really Blue Chip schooled. She was tired. She's tired. She's got one race left for $250,000 on Saturday. She's like 7th best in the race. And we had her scoped after. I'm going to talk to Harry and see what went on with her. If she's scoped perfectly clean, I'm not optimistic about getting good money with her on Saturday. It isn't a perfect situation, but I mean, truthfully, it's on a half-mile track. Horses make breaks. If I get down here and Harry said she's scoped a little bit mucusy, a little bit allergies, we can put her on some antibiotics and maybe clean her up a lot better for Saturday. Horses make breaks also. I'm pretty sure she won't. She loves those little tracks. So again, maybe have the vet look at her to see to see how she feels, and take a look at her blood and scope her. What we need to do and what would be perfect is we could get one race out of her where she raced as good as she could and put her away. There's for sure only one race left in her, if there is one, and we'd like to be able to find it for her. This is the tough part of horse racing, is what do we do now? So Really Blue Chip is going to be Saturday. Who else schooled? I schooled Casanova's Jewel. Trained them 2-4. For those of you asking about Casanova and Totally Tacked her, trained them both in 2-4 off a half and 5. They were good. Got to make a few little changes with Casanova's Jewel. He's strong as ever. Totally Tacked her looked great. James was pretty impressed with him. And Don't Believe Me, Just Watch schooled, and he schooled good too. I'll be driving him on Monday. So overall, I'd say a mixed bag today, but we did pretty good. I gave you guys an update about last night. This is an update about qualifiers. You get both the emails. I'm focusing obviously heavily on the Ohio sale. I'm getting a huge response from our clients saying, hey, I'm interested in this horse, I'm interested in that horse. Please keep them coming. I have them all written down. It gives me a great barometer of what I can look for also. The last thing I want to do is stretch myself in 100 directions. So that is helpful. Anyway, I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about all week. I'll get back to you guys soon. That's your qualifying report for today.